Well, happy Thursday, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, your host, back again this morning for the Today Show. And of course, on Thursdays, we feature very special communities, our veterans, our Indigenous communities, our disability community, and of course, our mother network, the Disability Channel. Shout out to you and also to our supporters, Your Home TV, which took our show very nicely into the United States about a month ago, and our viewership has just like gone through the roof. And also, most recently, Kojiko TV will be uh, presenting us on their network. So we're getting ready for that. So the Today Show is Monday. It's all about self-care, self-improvement, self-worth. Tuesdays, of course, we do a finance show with Dr. Amin Modiri out of Southern California, and always a fun time with him teaching us about finance. Wednesday is wellness, and so we feature some aspect of us staying healthy and well, whether that's emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever, mentally. And then Friday is sort of our fun Friday. We talk to people who are doing interesting and beautiful things in the world, musicians and authors and athletes. And then, of course, on Tuesdays, I co-host with Doug Smith, former NHLer, and we do a show called The Press Box, and we bring in athletes and retired athletes and anything to do with sports. So who would have ever thought that I would be on a sports show? But guess what? My very first show was a sports show. It was called The Golf Shop, and I did a 3-minute gig every Saturday morning out of mainstream radio Halifax. And I said, well, I've never even played a game of golf. Why would I be on a golf show? And they said, well, it's not about you playing the game. It's about the fact that you can come on and share some words of inspiration and empower our golfers. So back in the day, I was like Mike Weir, John Daly. These guys were all connected to me. And hey, Laurie, like, what's your words of wisdom for today? So it was a fun time, and that started my broadcasting career in 1998. So I've been on the air a long time, and really honored though. This part of my career I'm really passionate about because it just fits with what I do and who I am. So without further ado, I'm just going to pop up a little 30-second get up my breath kind of thing, and then we're going to welcome. You are all getting familiar with my co-host here on Thursdays, Jill Younghusband, and a guest today, Chance Burles. So we will be right back. And the 30-second is to give you an idea that we have open spaces for commercials, advertising, sponsorships, and we have a heck of a deal for the first 4 months if you come on board as an advertiser, because of course we rely on sponsorships, donations, and advertising to keep our show going. So this will give you and maybe just practice. What would you say in 30 seconds? It doesn't sound like a long time, but this will give you a chance to see just how long it is and how much you could say. And we start our campaign on Monday for our sponsors, and a heck of a deal for the first 30 people that come on board and be part of our show. 6 shows a week. And now it's going to expand to 7 shows a week. So here we go. Watch the snowflakes float up in the air. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are. Jill, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
So happy to be here. This is awesome.
This is my only assignment today. I usually am online, 5-6 hours a day, but today it's showtime, and then I'm leaving for an overnight birthday bash with my hubby. We're going to River Cree. I'll put a plug in for them. River Cree overnight, having dinner with another couple, and her birthday and my birthday are the same day. So we're going to have dinner together. And then tomorrow morning, eye appointments
Mm-hmm.
So we've got tomorrow off, and then my birthday's on Sunday. So kind of just taking the weekend for myself and us, because it's, as you know, Jill, a milestone birthday. I'm turning 30.
Right. And I'm glad you're integrating self-care with that,
Right.
taking care of your
Oh,
eyes and getting in some
mhm.
socializing and celebrating. Wonderful. And
But
happy
I'm
birthday.
Thank you. And I'm really glad that something special happened, and then I'm going to get you to introduce Chance.
Hmm.
Yesterday, well, a year ago, I went to get my license renewed, and I
Hmm.
could only get them for a year. And she said, "You'll have to have a medical now in order to get your license because next year you turn 75." And I said, "Yeah, I know how old I am, okay?" And then so I thought, what is this? I don't have anything wrong with me. I don't take any medication. Like, I got to get a medical to get a license. Are you kidding me? So I go to the doctor, $122 later
Hmm.
to pay for that. Then you have to pay for your license on top. So I went yesterday to get my license. Oh, good news. Senior discount. Ha ha. Saved myself $30. Good. That helped me with the other bill. And I got my license for 5 years.
Oh, good.
I said, well, why wouldn't I? Like, man, you know? All right, that's my wow wow story for today, guys. Over to you, Jill. And tell us a bit about what's going on for you and then introduce our amazing guest, Chance Burles.
Well, I'm still, you know, getting my house in order. My neighbor is back home now. She recovered from this accident she had this past weekend. I was helping her house sit and take care of her incredibly smart and powerful German Shepherd. All he wants to do is fetch the ball or fetch the frisbee, and he is active. So anyhow, so I'm happy to have helped her out. And being a single person living alone, and she's in the same boat. I said we got to help each other out. We got to know who our neighbors are, and so yeah, it's been wonderful getting to know the people in my community here. And so yeah, I'm focusing on self care. And this afternoon, I'm going to go out with a fellow veteran to go walk my dog in Mill Creek Ravine, and
Nice.
he'll bring his two standard poodles, his girls. They'll be prancing around the creek, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to today. And it's nice and sunny out, and I'm gonna enjoy the day. But I'm really excited to have Chance Burles here with us. Chance and I go way back. We go back to 2018 with we met through the Canadian Walk for Veterans.
2017,
Was
actually.
it 2017? Wow,
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
And we got involved with the Canadian Walk for Veterans to focus on the Equitas Society and a lawsuit that veterans had filed against the government of Canada regarding pensions and benefits for wounded soldiers from Afghanistan.
Mhm.
And so since then, Chance, it's been wonderful watching Chance develop as a really standout advocate for veterans issues. And we were part of the Walk for Veterans for a number of years. And then he started a podcast with Tools for the Toolbox. And now he's got the collective, and he's walking his walk now. And I must say, the 7 years that we've known each other, Chance, it's been a real learning curve.
It's been a ride.
I can't believe we're sitting here on a podcast. Because I remember when you started your podcast, you said, Jill, I'd like to interview you on my show. And I'm like, whoa, why would you want to interview me? And
Oh.
I don't have anything to offer. And so and one thing that we both discovered going through this whole process is there are a lot of veterans out there who are doing wonderful things, and veteran groups coming together, but that we need there needs to be some focus on wellness. Because with many of the advocates that I've been working with, we get to a certain point and then somebody falls off.
Yeah.
And has a breakdown of some sort or has a challenge. And so I'm really so it's a real pleasure for me to introduce to you Master Corporal retired Chance Burles. And Chance, I'm going to give you an opportunity now to introduce yourself and talk about your background in the military, why you joined the military, and yeah, let's have a conversation.
All right. Well, let's first things first, though. Before we even get into that, I just want to make a quick blurb on what you just said there, and that there are a lot of people out there that definitely, especially in the advocacy world, who will really work their butts off for other people.
Yes.
And they will not take care of themselves.
Right.
And the issue with this, and we've talked about this on the collective many times, and with many different advocates and many different groups and many different veterans, is the fact that we are very used to, especially the veteran community, giving of ourselves for others.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that within the military, we're used to other people doing that as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that we always get taken care of because other people are taking care of us and we are taking care of other people. So there's this consistent kind of runaround.
Right.
Not runaround, but reciprocity, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And now, unfortunately, when you get out of the military, you start to give, and there is no one there to take care of you where you kind of expect it to happen. And so it's on us to realize that we also have to specifically take care of ourselves.
We have to be our own support unit.
Yeah, exactly. We can't rely on other people to take care of us. No, it's all gone. So that's that. In terms of actual where I come from and all that stuff, my history, well, I'm a born and bred Alberta boy.
Yeah.
I was coming from Southern Alberta. I've been all over the place, from Medicine Hat to Lethbridge to Pincher, all the way up to Edmonton and beyond. And I've been all over the place throughout the province itself. I am a outdoorsman. I enjoy hunting, as you guys can see. I got this nice elk behind me. I enjoy just being out there, being one with everything that we have here in Alberta, which is, God's country. I love it out here. It's so amazing. Why I joined the military, though, I'm one of the few, I guess, nerds that I took it. It was my duty to serve. I looked at the amazing, the absolutely amazing country we had, and the people, and all of the things that I loved about living here and growing up here. And I thought I saw it as my duty to give back, to engage that in a service orientation. And they said I could blow stuff up. So I knew
you were going to go there.
I mean, you give me explosives, I'm happy. So I will, I had a blast. I got in 2005, immediately got sent to basic and SQ and 3s, did all my training throughout all of 2006, got to my unit in 2007, immediately got put on a workup, did all of that through 2007. 2008 went out to Afghanistan, came back, and that's where things started to go a bit sideways. After I got home from Afghanistan. It was
now, you were a combat engineer, correct?
That is correct. So I deal with mobility, counter mobility, and survivability. Anything that involves us moving, shooting, communicating, anything that we need, anything that the troops need on the ground, the engineers are there for. In terms of, while we were in Afghanistan specifically, we were looking for IEDs and mines and booby traps and all the things that the insurgents were trying to hit us with. That was the job. So I spent a lot of time with a metal detector out in front of the entire column looking for explosives, so that I could then add more explosives and get rid of it my way, kind of thing. So
you didn't defuse; you just blew them up. You blew up bombs.
Yeah, exactly. You got to find them first, though. That's the trick.
Right.
That's the fun part. Is that not only do you have to, there's two ways to find them. You can find them the right way, or you can find them the loud way. The loud way is less ideal. That's usually when you step on them or you set them off some way. Or you can find them ahead of time with your metal detector, and then you can get rid of them afterwards. EOD is the one. Those are the guys that actually neutralize explosives and IEDs and things like that. But even then, it's really difficult to do, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of work to set everything up so that you can actually neutralize them. But once they're neutralized, then you can start getting evidence off them. You can start getting fingerprints. You can start getting information. Then you can start using that information to find the bomb makers. And then once you find the bomb makers, then, you know, that gives JTF2 something to do, and they go off and have the fun day. So there's a lot of work involved in that, and EOD is a subsection within the engineers, but it is its own kind of realm. Whereas just the general engineers that are out there, all we're doing is just getting rid of it. We're making the way. If you need a road to go from A to B, the engineers will get you there, and that's the job. So did that. Spent a couple years after Afghanistan, still in the unit. Tried to get back overseas, but as everything was starting to die down, 2010 and beyond, the engineers were used less and less, so I didn't get a chance to go back. But I did get to. I spent a couple of a year and a half in the intelligence cell while I was there, so I got kind of the inside of the house, which was really interesting. And then I got posted out to Ontario, and I got to be an instructor for a while, which was super fulfilling. I didn't realize how much I loved teaching until I started to be a recruit instructor, and I just absolutely, totally bought into it. Loved every minute of it. I got to teach and mold the next generation of soldier. It was just amazing. I don't have words to tell you how fulfilling that was.
Right.
And then I retired from the military. I had a brand new 5-month-old baby that I had no idea what to do with, who did not respond very well to the knife hand at Master Burles telling him what to do. So I had to learn a whole new strategy, and how to be a dad, and how to be a husband, and how to be, me again. And that was challenging. Transition took a long time, and I fought it tooth and nail for the longest time, which was not smart. I stopped, I had to stop thinking like a soldier. I had to start thinking like a person. I had to start thinking like me. And that took a lot of mistakes, took a lot of times of me smashing my head into the wall, took a lot of times, a lot of bad days, a lot of major difficulties throughout. But my wife, Amber, she's amazing, and she has stuck with me through thick and thin, and there has been some serious thick portions to it. But she's amazing. She keeps me grounded. She keeps me moving forward, and she keeps me wanting to be the best person that I can be for her and for my boys. And
right.
That was, and then so after that, I started getting into advocacy. I started getting into podcasting. I started getting into all of the things that you and I first got introduced in, and then it's been a ride since then. Like I was thinking about it the other day. I am now, not including other people's podcasts, just my own podcast, I'm in the range of 600 episodes right now. So I got some reps under my belt, at least.
That's fantastic in such a short period of time.
Yeah, well, we had it was about 150, I think, of the tools for the toolbox, which, interestingly enough, we got started based off of when I first got that started. Because I was kind of an advocate for a lot of other veterans, and because of I was an engineer, I worked with a lot of other units. So I worked with the infantry, I worked with the armored, I worked with the RD guys, I worked with the supply dude. Like, didn't matter who it was, the engineers get called out for basically everything. So I had a lot of contacts with the general veteran community, and I would hang out with beers with some of the boys, and I'd go do this, and I'd go do that, and I'd do whatever. And those connections created tools for the toolbox, because every time we'd get together for beers, somebody would invariably come up with an issue, or they would start with like, man, I'm having a rough week this week, and then somebody would be like, oh, what's going on? Why don't you tell us about it? And they would give us oh, my wife's being snappy, and she doesn't really like what I have to say, and I feel like this, and blah blah blah. And then somebody would be like, oh yeah, that happened to me 10 years ago. This is how I worked it out with my wife. And I realized very quickly that that information that was being shared was only being shared within that small group, within that 2 to 3 people, 4 people, whoever was at the table. And I realized that, man, there are tools available to us all through everybody. So why are we not sharing it with everybody?
Mhm.
And then I started getting into podcasting right after that, and I was like, well, now let's put some tools into the toolbox of everybody else out there. And so I went to it and I started interviewing as many people as I could and tried to find out what tool they used to maintain wellness within their life. And I just kept going. And when I thought it was crazy, I kept going. And when I didn't think it was working, I kept going. And then when I did think it was working, I kept going and just kept going from there. And it's been built since then. And then once I started the collective Tools for the Toolbox, I put off to the side. It's still up. Like, anybody can still go and see it. It's on all the platforms. Um, but I've been focusing solely on the collective because when we got it started last year, my co-host Sean, he came up with the idea and he said, you know what, we need to get some reps in. So we're going to do a show a day for the year. And so we did 365 podcasts all of last
That's
year.
insane.
Yeah. It was quite
That's
the
a
ride.
commitment.
Yeah, and we went to town. We had guests. We're sitting at I think we're over 200 unique guests over the last year and change. We're now sitting at, I think we're close to 700 guests total as well. So, like, it's been a ride.
That's
Yeah.
extraordinary.
But it's really great. I have a blast doing it. I get to communicate with people. Laurie, when you started your intro there, and you were talking about, oh, I'm not really a golf person, but I guess I can do the show. That's the power of communication. If you can communicate with somebody, it doesn't matter if you're super skilled or have knowledge of whatever it is that the topic is. You can listen. You can actively engage people. You can find the things that person is looking for in that style of communication, and then give it back to them and
It's about
make sure
being
that,
connected. It's about connecting.
yeah, connectivity, absolutely. And so, like, the power of communication is huge, and that's why podcasting, I think, is so popular nowadays, in the fact that it allows people to communicate or to hear what they need to hear or seek out the information that they need to engage in, or maybe to push themselves, maybe to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, maybe listen to something that they don't normally listen to and go, oh, and learn something new. So there's so much there, and if you don't stop me talking, I will talk for 3 hours. So. Oh, you're muted there, Laurie. You might.
We're not going to interrupt you, because one of my bugbears I actually teach a workshop called Powerhouse Podcasting, because when, of course, COVID hit and Zoom came in, everybody and their dog thought they were a broadcaster. So I thought, I've been broadcasting for 25 years. So why don't I share some tips around how to look professional, be professional online? Because we've actually been working virtually since 2002, my company. And
Yep.
we've been delivering our workshops online for 22 years. So I was sort of a pioneer in that technology back in the day when there were no cameras. But, we're practicing right now. And Jill is an amazing natural on the air. And I really want to help her hone down her skills. And one of the things I talked to her about was a lot of things that happen when you're doing an interview is that the interviewer hijacks the interview. And I don't want us to do that. That's why we're not interrupting you and letting you share your story, because you will share those things that are coming from your heart without the big questions. And then people get the real deal. So that's kind of how we like to operate. And I'm just amazed and impressed with what you have in the can, as we would say, so far. 600 or 700 episodes. That's amazing. Or guests and episodes. So, Jill, I do have a question, though, for Chance, and I want to know where the big bird came from.
The big bird, yeah. So a friend of mine, Tim Turner, Jill, you know Tim, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So he and some other dudes got something set up called Operation Pegasus Jump. And it was to get veterans out to Campbell River out in Vancouver Island and throw them out of a perfectly good airplane. And just it's all about it's all about getting your jumps in and reconnecting with other veterans, and it's about the community, and it's about skydiving, and it's about all of the things that really connect veterans together, which is through shared suffering's not the great word for it, but that's the only one I got right now.
Training.
So sure, training.
Okay.
But that's the whole point, was that, everybody got to get out. And while I was in the military, I always wanted to be a jumper, but I never got the opportunity to go to airborne school. So as soon as he put it up there, I was like, yes, I am in. Tell me where to go. I am in. And I showed up for the jump, and I was super excited, and got all the rigging done. We went through the whole class, and this is it's a static line jump, so it's not tandem. We're not not attached to anybody else. You actually have to climb out onto the wing of the plane, and then the jump master has your drogue, and they release you, and then they let go of the chute. So I'm not actually pulling my own chute, but you still have to let go of the plane. And that was a bit of a challenge. So the name came from the fact that once I got out onto the plane, and I had my fingers on the prop, and not the prop, but
on the wing.
Yeah, and soon as I let go, I was like, oh no, and I started falling backwards, but I didn't actually flare like I was supposed to. I started swinging my arms, so it looked like I was flapping my arms, like I was trying to fly back into the plane. And so the jump master, he had a camera on his head and took the video of me falling out of the plane, trying to flap my way back in. And I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'5.5", something like that. And so that's where the nickname Big Bird came from, is that I tried to fly back in the plane. And that's where that stemmed from. And then it stuck. I mean, it worked really well. So people started calling me Big Bird out at Pegasus Jump. And then because Sean, my co-host, was there, he was the one that actually coined the name Big Bird. And then I just put it into the show, and now I am Chance Big Bird Burles.
I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm. So I'll look forward to seeing you in a big yellow feathered outfit.
That's coming soon enough. Don't worry. One of these days that'll happen for sure. But again, I think it goes back to, the ability to communicate in that if I was to be upset about it, if I was to be angry and be like, I don't like it, don't call me Big Bird, that shuts everything down. There's no communication in that sense whatsoever. But if I lean into it, and I laugh about it, and I enjoy it, and I engage people with it, it brings smiles to people's faces the moment they see it. They're like, Big Bird, where does that come from? That engages communication.
Absolutely.
It allows people to actually ask questions and learn a little bit more about you and stuff like that. So I think it's anytime somebody gives you a nickname, lean into it.
Okay, well, I guess we'll be doing that. Hey, Jill, maybe Chance would like to hear what my nickname is that I was dubbed with.
I do. What do you got?
About 6 months ago, I worked with a daughter of a colleague, and he just said to me, "You know what? You're like a recovery mechanic." Mm-hmm. So that's what I've been dubbed as, and that's our new website. It'll be called therecoverymechanic.com, because in my work, that's what I've been doing for 32 years, is supporting people in recovery from anything. So it could be a nasty divorce, it could be a sickness, an injury, but I support them in recovering emotionally from the trauma, rather than, alongside of other modalities that are used when someone has had a traumatic event. And none of us have ever escaped that. And a lot of people think that when they're in something that they're all by themselves. And I think Chance would make an amazing guest for our recovery summit, Jill.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Quarter,
that's a great idea.
I'm happy to help.
Yeah, we host a summit. It's a 3-day event online, and we have about 18 speakers who come and share a recovery story. So I'm putting you on my hot list. Over to you, Jill. A question for Chance as it relates to his story, because you know him better than I do. You're actually interviewing him today.
So who is in your collective broadcast, and how did you meet them?
Well, that's a big question.
I know
So
there's 4 of you. Is that right?
no, there's two. The original two are Sean and I. Sean Taylor is a former, actually, interestingly enough, he got into the Canadian military back in the 80s.
Mhm.
He was a PPCLI, and then he went to the airborne. He was a Pathfinder. He was recce, sniper, Pathfinder, and then when JTF2 got stood up, he was the first on the list. So he was
Wow.
he was on the original team. Went through the first selection. He was one of the old dogs. He was one of the plank holders. And then he retired as warrant officer at JTF2, and then he became a use of force instructor. Then he became a computer systems engineer, and then he went into international security consulting, and then he owned his own coffee shop, and then he became a world champion 24-hour mountain bike solo 24-hour mountain bike world champion. He's just an awesome dude. Friggin', that's when he comes up with an idea and he says we're going to go this way. I'm like, sounds good.
Wow.
Let's go.
You're okay. So you've got Sean.
Yeah. So Sean and I were the first two. He came up to me and he said, I got this idea. The veterans out there are struggling. There's suicide is rampant. Mental health is degrading left, right, and center. We need to do something about it. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And he said, all right, well, I'm going to push a pace that you're probably not used to. So keep up. And I was like, let's do it.
What a great mentor for you.
Yeah. And then that's when we started the collective right off the bat in January 1 last year, and we went to it. So it started with the two of us, and then we started building it out from there. We started talking to friends of ours. We started engaging people that we knew already, veterans from the space or other people from the podcasting realm that I had known for the last little while I've been podcasting. And then from that, it kind of expanded. We started asking them, it's like, hey, you've been on the show 2 or 3 times. You know what the flow is like. Is there anybody you think that would be good for it? And they're like, yeah, actually, I got these 2 people. Maybe you should hook up with them. We brought them onto the show, engaged them right away. And the same thing. Hey, you've been on the show a couple of times. Anybody you think would be good for the show? And so the network is just like expanded.
It's fantastic.
And it has blown up from then. So we've had people from behavioral scientists to special operations friggin' colonels to CEOs to janitors to outdoorsmen to you name it. We've gotten across the board, and we specifically look for, I got 2 criteria when I look for people. Are you cool? Can you hold a conversation?
Oh, yay.
And that's really what it is that we want. The whole point of the collective is to create discussion. We're not answering any of the questions to the universe, but we are going to talk about them. We are going to discuss them. Yesterday we got into loyalty, and we had a former U.S. Army infantry guy who is now a martial arts instructor and counselor. And he is Clay Surratt. He's just an amazing dude. He's down in Virginia. And then we had another guy also in Virginia, a former U.S. Army intelligence, and now kind of adventurer, but he contracts for the Pentagon stuff. So really cool dudes, deep thinkers, people who have life experience, who have developed an ability to question the world. And so we engaged them right there. And that's all we did. We just talked about loyalty, and what is loyalty? Is it loyalty to others? Is that more important than loyalty to ourselves? How do we actually be loyal to ourselves? What are some of the things that, that become apparent through that? And how do we engage it? How do we do it better? How do we do it? How are people doing it not so good right now? Or what mistakes have we made with our loyalties prior? And we just it was an hour-long conversation, but we just scratched the surface on loyalty. And as soon as we finish, we're like, we're going to have to do that again, probably 2 or 3 times to really dive into the actual subject. But that's the collective. That's what we do. We ask those hard questions, and then we discuss it, and we go from our experience in a panel format similar to this, and we pass around the table. What are your thoughts on that? Oh, that's an interesting point. What are your thoughts on that? Oh, that's cool too. What do you, and then just
Absolutely.
out there from there. So it's I have learned so much just from being the host and being the moderator of the conversations, and I don't have words to tell you how much I have leveled up or engaged.
You've really grown.
Cerebrally.
I can hear it in your voice, in your confidence.
Yeah, it's
in
crazy.
your setup, your professional setup. Now you've really grown. Congratulations.
Thank you. It is it's fantastic. I love it. Every time I get a show started, the only thing I don't like is scheduling. That is the bane of my existence. Trying to get people lined up, and then things come up, and 2 minutes before the show, hey, sorry, my dog just crapped on the carpet. I won't be there today. And you're like, oh, okay,
I can
great.
help you. I can help you with that.
Okay, perfect. I like that. I'm always looking for help, so it's great.
No, I understand that, and you need that to be like 0, right? So, Jill, maybe you'd like to share with Chance a little bit about because this might be something of interest to your audience too. Is my 32 years of work have been in the development, in the repair and restoration of one's self-worth, and I've developed over 1,000 workshops that support people with that. So, Jill, maybe you'd like to just share as a veteran how that has supported you in the last couple of months.
Well, I have to say,
because maybe I'm thinking Chance should have you and I on his show.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love that. I would love
to talk about this.
Right?
Yes,
this is the collective.
Well, as I said earlier, in veteran advocacy, we run into we trip up on our own wounds and our own challenges. And yeah, I had a very challenging experience with a veteran organization recently, and I had to leave.
Yeah.
And it really was painful because this is my family. And it boiled down, it was betrayal, it was a question of loyalty. Where are my friends? Why didn't anyone support me in what the challenges were? And so everybody just watched as I was mistreated, and it's because everybody's wounded. I'm not going to point fingers at specific people, but it was a very challenging experience, and I had to leave, and I got pushed out of the veteran nest, so to speak. And I had some time alone here at home, and Stephen Beardwood out of Ontario reached out to me, and he sent an email saying, Jill, I think you need to meet Dr. Laurie Davis. And I said, sure. And I replied to all, and I provided my phone number, and next thing you know, my phone rings. Hello, Jill, this is Dr. Laurie Davis calling. Where are you located? And right away, we scheduled a Zoom call. She says, there's no time to waste. Let's meet and let's talk. And so it was about what she offered me was a lifeline, because I was going down the depression rabbit hole, and you and I, Chance, have talked about that. You and I spoke last year, and I reached out to you because it's been a struggle the last few years for me, and so I decided. So Dr. Laurie offered me a 10-hour intensive, self-worth, the missing link. Because if I had any self-worth, I would have been able to set up boundaries and not tolerate unacceptable behavior. I would be able to represent myself with confidence, with effective communication skills, and represent myself much better rather than being steamrolled. And so I've taken her 10-hour intensive. I've spent some time with her in her home, and I've met her husband, and I've gotten to know her, and I've had some breakthroughs in such a short period of time. I'm on warp speed now, and here I am. And I wanted to have a podcast. I wanted to do some wellness programs within the veteran community, but I had to leave that toxic environment to be able to come up for air and go, okay, what do I do now? And then here comes Dr. Laurie going, hello, I can help you. like you're busy, rolling around in the mud, and you're like, I can't, what am I doing? I'm repeating the same patterns. I can't get out of this. I'm stuck in the quicksand. And Dr. Laurie showed up and threw me a lifeline. And I am so grateful. And it was through the veteran community that I met her. So what a blessing. And so I think that there's a lot of opportunities here for us to help not only the veteran community, but the community at large, especially after the last 4 years and the damage caused by COVID lockdowns. And,
Yeah, I think the damage was there already. I don't think COVID actually, it wasn't the cause. It was just it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think, unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who are just damaged, managing the best they can, and they have never had to fix themselves in order to continue their life. They've just always had to, or they've always just kind of managed or shrank away for a bit and then came back and then shrank away for a bit, versus just fixing what it is, fixing the issue, and then re-engaging in life directly. One of my good buddies, Seb Lavoie, says this on a pretty regular basis, is that you either heal yourself or you bleed on people who didn't cut you.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just such a great line. But it is the absolute truth. And it is rampant within the veteran community. We have a whole bunch of people who are just injured, trying to help other people as a proxy for helping themselves.
And it's so, and I see so much potential in these people, but they don't see that they need to work on their own self-care, their self-worth.
I wouldn't, self-care and worth are definitely part of it, but I think the larger issue is the fact that they need to take the time to be able to sit in their own head. And that's the trick with a lot, especially veterans, because we're not good at it. If there's downtime, there's stuff to do. Off I go. I'm going to go do that. No,
you don't want to feel it. You don't want to feel it.
Exactly. Whereas that's what you have to do. You have to sit in it. You have to engage it directly. You have to be able to look at it, at that pain, at that injury, and say, okay, what can I learn from this? How do I move forward? And without any preconception, without any emotion, without any engagement from your head, just sit in it. Allow the feelings to go over you. Allow them to go through you. You got to go through depression. Cool. Go through depression.
Go through it. Right.
And then once you're done, now what? What do we learn from that? And like I'm diagnosed with post-traumatic stress and major depressive disorder and anxiety and all these things. I go through depressive episodes 3-4 times a year. The best times are when I allow it to happen. I allow my energies to drop. I step back off of all the things that I'm doing, and I do my bare minimum, my non-negotiables. I still do jiu-jitsu. I still train. I still go outside. I still walk I do my family. I'm with my kids. But I allow for things to happen. As they happen, as I start to feel them, oh, you know what? I have a low energy today. Okay, well, I'm gonna sit on the couch and watch TV with my boys. And be okay with that. And not be in my head going, oh, well, I have 17 other things that I could be doing for the podcast, and I have editing and no.
Yeah, exactly.
Just sit back, let it happen. And, instead of 3-4 weeks of me slowly fighting my way downhill, I just jump off the cliff. I hit the bottom. I sit there for a few seconds, day or two. Okay, cool. And then climb my way out. And
well, what you're talking about is allowing yourself to, the biggest challenge for most people is they don't know how to come out of denial and in a safe way. And you've just described a safe way to do that. That's amazing. When I first moved to the West, I thought, I'm from the East Coast. And I thought, how am I going to share what I do with Westerners? And then I thought I'd do a series of redneck seminars. And the very first one was 10 ways to get your head out of your ass.
A lot of people that need that.
Right. And then the second theory, that's the 10 workshops that Jill took. That's 10 ways how to get your head out of your ass. And then the next series would be, now that you know how to get your head out of your ass, 10 ways to keep your head out of your ass. You just described that. Thank you.
Yeah. But this is a learned skill. Like, that's the thing. Yes. I think a lot of people don't understand as well, is they especially on the internet, especially on social media, stuff like that, we see people who are like better, and they're, saying, oh, well, it's simple, just go outside, it's simple, just go do this, go do that thing, whatever. But that is we were talking about yesterday on the show, is that it's a microdose system. It's not that all of a sudden you're going to go outside and be like, oh, the world's amazing, okay, cool, all my problems are gone. But if you do that consistently for 3 years every day, then at the end of that 3 years or 4 years or 10 years or however long it takes, then you'll come out of that other side going, man, thank God I got outside. And like jiu-jitsu has been that one for me, is that if I'm on the mats and I'm trying to strangle my friends, that's where I get out all my stress, right? That's where my friends are trying to strangle me. All these things it's the act, it's the action portion of it. And where, especially in the veteran community, we see this all the time, is people don't take action. They can say all the right words. They can say all the right things, but they're not actually taking the action to do the thing that they need to do. They can say, oh yeah, I need to have, Jill, when you said earlier, we need to concentrate on self-care. No, you need to do self-care.
Well, this is it. Make it a priority. Yeah.
It's not even the priority.
It becomes, you become paralyzed you get stuck in your trauma.
Yeah.
And you lose your motivation. Like I've said many times, I have all the tools in the toolbox. I have lots of tools. Why am I not utilizing them? I know what to do. Why am I not doing it?
Yep.
It's always been a challenge for me.
So here's the question then. And this is, Sean taught me this. You take a piece of paper and you put it on your desk and you write big bold letters. Why?
That's right.
Underline it.
Okay.
And then don't get up from the table until you have an answer to that question.
So you have to kind of go inwards and kind of do a meditation of sorts and self-inquiry.
And then once it's done, then you write how, and you start writing down things to do. And then once you have those how done, then you write when. You start writing times.
It's like situation, mission, execution.
A set of orders. But the sad part is, a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people have the tools. A lot of people know what to do. A lot of people think that they could do it if they really, but no one's doing anything. They're just sitting, thinking, rather than
that's
doing.
And that's where I come in.
Yeah.
The how-to, man. The how-to. You know how people say, oh, you really should love yourself. It's so important. Well, I don't know about you guys, but my mother never sat me down and said, when the you-know-what hits the fan, honey, this is how you still think highly of yourself or value who you are or love yourself. There's no how-to.
Yeah.
So people have I call it smoke coming out of your ass,
100%.
And, I'm 25 and I just paid $47.99 and I took a life coaching program over the weekend. And now I'm going to tell you how to live your life.
Yep.
Seriously?
Yep. Yeah, we laugh about this all the time on the collective too.
Because good. Okay.
I had I had a segment last year, a couple times actually. We called it Coaches Week, and I got coaches from around the world to come in, and I got the audience, the collective, to send in questions. Hey, how do I do this? How do we? What about that? And how do I engage this? All these things, and a lot of it came down to over and over and over again. We hit the same point. Is just the fact of, great, you know what to do. Now do it. I don't care if you're motivated. I don't care if you don't want to. Stand up, get off your butt, get to work. And then once you get to work, then you start realizing, oh, man, okay, I see how it is. And it's the same thing when we were in the military. You don't want to go sit out in the rain and build something and, have to go on patrol and walk through the swamp and all that. Nobody wants to do that. But you do it anyway, because that's the way. That's how you do it. Is if you want to, recce an objective, you want to make sure, go and see what the enemy are doing. You don't go when it's nice out. You don't take the route that's easy to walk down. You go when it's crappy out, and you take the worst possible route to get there, because they're not going to be looking for that. That's why you do it. Okay, well, there's your why. It works. Done.
Thank you.
Get to work.
Exactly.
And, I see this in the veteran community, and I don't want to, I'm not throwing smoke at people. I don't want to tell people that, they're not doing it right, or these people are doing it wrong. But what I have seen, and I've talked to hundreds of people now about this, is that if you just start, as long as you start and you don't stop until the job is done, you'll learn something at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that knowledge that you gain from that will help you take that next step and help you take that next step. And as I said earlier, it's all about, microdosing. It's about doing, if you're woefully out of shape and you were a hard charger in the military, and then you got out and now you're 200 pounds overweight and you haven't picked up a kettlebell in your entire life, and you're looking back going, well, I was a killer back in the day, and I used to do this, and it doesn't matter anymore. You're here right now.
That's
So right here, right now, what do you need to do? Well, I need to get back in shape. Okay, we'll start with this. Walk around the block. If you can't walk around the block, walk to the end of your driveway. You can't walk to the end of your driveway, walk around your couch. Like anything. Start small and build on it. Take small steps and build on it. And it just keep going until you come out the other side of it. And once you're on the other side of it, you're going to go, holy crap, that worked. Okay. You engage with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's, one of the taglines we have on the collective. Do your best. And not in the sense of, just go and give it your best. No, give it your best. Give it your absolute best effort every single day, every moment, every little thing that you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. And so I've taken that into my life 100%. And I come on a show, I give you guys are getting my best right now. When I go talk to my boys, they're getting my best right that moment. And every day for the rest of my life, that's going to be the plan.
That's wonderful, Chance. Thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you for that. In my world, in my experiences, part of the why people don't do what they know they need to be doing is because they don't actually believe that they're worth it.
That's a big one.
And so that's the work that we do, but showing people that they are worth it. But that's usually, if I don't think I deserve to be well, or I don't think I deserve to be rich, or I don't think I deserve a good family, I probably don't have any of those things.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And unfortunately, again, a lot of times it stems back to, how we talk to ourselves, how we engage with our own life. One of the things that, again, Sean helped me out with when we first started the show was he's like, are you a professional? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, are you professional? And I was like, I mean, I act in a professional manner. And he's like, no. Are you a professional? Are you looking at this as a profession, this podcasting thing that we're getting into right now? Is this your profession? And I said, well, yeah, I guess it kind of is. And he's like, no. Are you a professional? And I was like, oh, I see where you're getting at. Yes. This is my profession now. 100%. I am a podcaster. And he said, good. Now act like it. I said, okay, cool. And then from that point on, people would ask me, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm an ex-soldier, ex-military. And, I have kind of this podcast thing that I do on the side. Not anymore. When people ask what I do, I'm like, oh, I'm a podcaster. Yeah, I got this show called The Collective. This is what we talk about. This is what we do. This is who we engage, blah, blah, blah. And I engage life as a podcaster now because that's what a professional does. When you're a soldier, you're a soldier. That's who you are. Okay, now that you're done being a soldier, now what are you? Find something. Are you a jiu-jitsu guy? Cool. Be a jiu-jitsu guy. You into mountain biking? Cool. Get into it. Like dive head first. Learn everything about it. Be a professional. And it changes things.
I love that. And just to add to that, I had one afternoon, I fired my lawyer, my accountant, and my banker, and they were all deemed professionals, but they weren't professional.
Yeah.
Right. But you can have a housekeeper come and clean your home, and they're a professional. It doesn't matter about the title or the role, right? It's how that attitude. And I never tell people I'm a podcaster because I'm not. I was trained to be a broadcaster back in the day. So there's a little bit of a difference there. And I have never really had a podcast. I've always had some kind of but now a podcast is a professional show. And there's so much to learn from that. And I just want to congratulate you for doing the deep dive on the podcasting, okay? Because the world needs to hear from you.
I appreciate it. Interestingly enough, when I first started, I thought, oh, podcast. Okay, it's simple. You got a mic, you got a camera, You go online, you talk to people. Cool. Yeah, whatever. No big deal. And then you figure out that, oh man, I need to figure out lighting. What
Yes.
is this lighting business? And then you got to like audio engineering. What is audio engineering? I don't even know. Video editing? What is all that about? Just like it, and then you start to realize that podcasting in and of itself is actually 6-7 full industries that you need to learn as a podcaster. And now, like, I do all of the editing for the show, I do all of the scheduling for the show, I do all of the like every part of it. I'm the host, I'm the producer, I'm the editor, I'm the engineer, I do all that stuff. And then Sean jumps on the show. Yeah, exactly. and, and my co-host jumps on the show about 2 minutes before we go live, and then
you're getting all rattled, and you're going, "Oh my God, if I have to be here by myself, what am I going to do?"
The funny thing is that it's hilarious because the first few times that he was coming in like super late, like, or not late, but like right up to the wire, and I was getting a little freaked out, like, oh my God, and like he's not here, and I got guests, and I don't know what to do. Where do we even start? And now, if he doesn't show up, I'm like, okay, cool, we'll get into the conversation anyway.
I've done hundreds of solo shows. I actually sometimes like them better. Well, listen, I hate to interrupt, but you know what? Our time is up. Isn't it the fastest hour, Jill?
It disappears so fast when you're having a good convo.
This has been wonderful. So, Chance, where can people watch the Collective podcast?
All over the place. So we run them live for the most part. Sometimes we have them canned based on timing and stuff like that. But Wednesdays for the Gold Mine, which is a hour-long, kind of a quick hit on certain topics. You can find that on YouTube. It's on Twitch. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Facebook. It's across the board, kind of anywhere, as well as on Spotify, so you can listen to it offline.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Everywhere. And then the Collective is on Fridays, which is the long form podcast where we really do deep dives into it. And again, all these are panel driven. It's all about the conversation.
Okay. Yes, I listened to your last week on LinkedIn.
Oh, on the Green Berets? Oh yeah, that's right. I saw your comments on there. That was a
shout out to our American veterans. July 4th in the US.
We got a show coming out tomorrow called Independence, and it is a all American panel. We got former Marine, former Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army, and a former Army Ranger talking about independence, physical, like personal independence, but it applies to the larger concept as well. And so you can find the Collective anywhere you do podcasts. The same thing, all the different areas. And then you can go to the website, the-collective.ca. You can hit us up at buildthecollective@gmail.com is another one to email us if you have any questions or thoughts. But mostly we're on Instagram. So that's the big one at the_collective_IG. And it is that's where we do most of our stuff. Everything else gets pushed from there. And then, you can find me. I'm Chance Burles, MCPL BURLES on Instagram. And I'm on everything else as well. So I'm hanging out all over the world. Yeah. It's a good time.
Thank you. Well, listen, Chance, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
To be here and supporting us with our special community day on Thursdays. So
absolutely.
Veterans, our veteran community is really important to us. My dad was a World War II veteran, and I did a show with a panel of my age group who grew up with a veteran who came home damaged and hurt and all of that, and how that impacted our upbringing. So that was a very interesting show, and that's a great idea too, to have the offspring of World War II veterans, because of course those veterans are pretty much gone by now.
Yeah, there's not
all
many
right. Yeah. So thanks, Chance. And Jill, thank you so much for coming in today and supporting our conversation. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. This was one of the easiest ones so far.
Yeah, great.
Chance, you made it so
because
easy.
we were dealing with a professional. Okay.
Yeah.
For some of our guests, it's the first time they've ever been on camera,
yes.
Right. So we have to take that into consideration. So anyway, we'll be returning on Monday. Tomorrow I'm off, birthday weekend. So we come back on Monday with our self-worth, self-care, and my co-host will be Virginia Clark. an amazing woman who's on our personal team and has been here for a while and can talk about all that. So, guys, Chance, you'd probably fit in every category we have on our 5-day show.
Probably.
Right? Okay. All right. So thanks, everybody. Have a terrific weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Thank you.